How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I've got number 2 in my top 5 favourite scouts, and it is of course the Loadstar. Had to get it in there somewhere, that's what she said, and I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I really like this truck, to be honest. I've liked it ever since I bought it. It was one of the few things near the beginning that I had a pool of money, and I was going through all the different trucks and stuff, and a few of the things I kept was this and the Dolphin. And then pretty much everything else I just like sold it back after a while, bought something else, tried the next thing. But yeah, this thing is very good. It's worth the money. It's worth grabbing. I had a quick chance at a tree. Managed to knock one down, which is actually pretty decent for a scout. I've managed to knock a few down with a loaf. Not a few in a row, but I have knocked a few trees down with a loaf. But yeah, scouts ain't too keen on knocking trees down. I suppose one big reason why I do like this truck, why it puts it above a lot of the other scouts, is it's got a truck engine and a truck gearbox. I believe it's the same engine as the Kodiak C70, and obviously the same gearbox, but it's like the same gearbox that's in most of the trucks. It just gives you the high range and the off-road option of gearboxes, instead of obviously normally the Scouts have the freeway and the SnowRunner gearbox, which, if I'm honest, I do prefer the truck gearboxes in general in this game. I think the Scout gearboxes are a little bit, yeah, kind of like, they could do with being upped a little bit, considering trucks are generally in real life geared lower and they're obviously towing cargo and stuff. Scouts, 4x4s, you know, a Hummer, a CK1500, etc, etc, you'd expect to go faster than a truck. But anyway, this one basically does solve this problem. I suppose, in a way, it bridges the gap kind of half and half, but it does it from a different point of view than the F750. This has a truck engine and a truck gearbox, but it's a Scout and it can have Scout trailers. The F750 is, I believe it is a Scout as well, but it has like obviously the truck trailers and stuff. It also has obviously a very weak engine at the minute, and it has the Scout gearbox. So yeah, if you could kind of combine this and the F750, I mean, that's why this is in second place now. You can see it going along the terrain, going over jumps and that. I've only got a fuel trailer I'm towing, but again, it's a Scout with Scout trailers, so I'm fine with that. Yeah, it motors along very nicely. It's like, because it's got a truck engine in it, but it's only a Scout and it only weighs what a Scout does. I'm not sure what this does weigh. If anything, it might even not be a bad thing if it was up to a tiny bit, just to help with how planted it is in the ground in some terrains. But yeah, having a truck engine and a truck gearbox, especially in something the size of a Scout, makes it pretty punchy. It's got not just good engine power, but it actually uses it pretty well, like the way it winds through the gears, and the fact that high range in the high range gearbox, like the truck gearboxes, is quicker than the high range in the freeway gearboxes. Also, while it's on screen, it's got a lot of nice parking lights you can put on top of it. It's got obviously a roof rack lights. It's got lights on the bumper. It lights up pretty well. I think one of the best things I've seen in the game that lights the nighttime up is the Dolphin. But for a Scout, this is definitely pretty decent. It's yeah, you can definitely see where you're going and everything. And another thing I do like about it is all like the different add-ons you can have on the back. I do think as well, I suppose, while I mention it, as I had the F750 yesterday, if and when I get the next engine for the F750, I believe as well, some people have said, I need to reply, my brother's been over tonight, so I've been a bit delayed, so I might reply to the comments tomorrow, but I appreciate everyone who's let me know. Apparently they've confirmed that the update will be getting released on Monday, which, if that's true, was good. Like, the sooner the better, because yeah, it's just be nice to have another map, nice to have another load of missions and Scout watchtowers to explore. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. If and when the F750 does get that engine, it may, in my mind, kind of jump its way up the list a bit, probably knock this down into third, because even though this is great, like, it's a very, very nice combination with the kind of truck mechanics, but the Scout chassis and everything. Because it can only tow Scout trailers, though, it makes it a little bit less. I'm not that keen on Scout trailers. I'll be honest, though, the fuel trailer, I do actually like this Scout fuel trailer, because considering it's got 900 litres, which is plenty, it doesn't seem to weigh a lot when you're towing it along, even with a Scout. yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of difference. But as you can see here, it's just got very nice top speed for a scout. Well, again, it's more like the truck top speed. This is going pretty much ballpark what, you know, the Tiger would do down here, the Dolphin, all them sort of trucks. And I do like flying it down here. I've always enjoyed it. Every time near enough I'm on Northport, not every time, but quite often I'll get this out and just go flying down here from the garage to the port. And yeah, it's just good fun. It's just got that right, like, balance of handling and speed. I do think it is a little bit understeery in some places. I'm kind of used to it, so I kind of steer in a bit early, get a bit of oversteer on the go and try and get it around the corner like that, really. Yeah, but I kind of enjoy that. Again, it's one of them trucks that you can explore and enjoy and kind of push your luck a bit with the mechanics of the game. Like I've said before, and I still believe it's true, I wish a lot of the scouts were geared a bit faster, and I suppose this serves as a good example of why I'd rather that, because, I mean, it's still a scout, it does what a scout does, but it's just got that little extra oomph to it, which, yeah, is enjoyable. Flew it off the port, of course, because that's what I do when I get there. You can see a trailer still abandoned there from, I can't remember what vehicle I did it with, actually, in the end. I jumped the trailer in there. It's good times, though. Yeah, now I'm on a quarry, flying down here. Again, got scout fuel trailer on me. It's just, I suppose, that's one thing I have used this for before, though, because it's pretty small, but it's pretty quick. It's also got a repair kit on the back. And I suppose, just quickly, that's another thing I do like about it. It's essentially got a roof rack, but it's in the pickup add-on or whatever instead of on the roof, which, obviously, as a lot of you will probably know in this game, the roof racks are kind of bugged for most things that have got a roof rack on. Whereas this just avoids that because it's it's just all the repair points are in the van body thing. It's fine, like, it doesn't affect the top speed, doesn't affect the handling, doesn't affect the acceleration. I jumped off there, fancying my chances, went for it, landed pretty badly, did a roll, but of course, sending a goddamn horse with a vehicle, it's problem solved. Just while I'm on the subject though, it tips over pretty easily, like, I don't mean it rolls easily, I mean it was easy to flip back, like, there isn't a lot of weight, really, to this truck. And you see though, even going up here, this is the third quarry hill, I'm in high gear there, and it is a full scout trailer. I'm not sure, to be honest, when I say it's a full scout trailer, I'm not sure if draining it really makes much of a difference. That's definitely what she said. Yeah, I went and grabbed that truck trailer thing though from the top of the hill that I'd left there for the last few weeks, and it was a little bit slow getting started, but again, I suppose, in fact, that's another thing I do like about this truck that I've been meaning to mention. I'm in high gear now. Look how I'm basically going slow enough to where 90-95% of the other trucks in the game, or trucks and scouts, would be stalling at this point, but it's not impossible to stall this, but it's definitely on the very good end of being hard to stall. Like, most of the time it'll just wheel spin on the spot, if anything, which I'd prefer that because, yeah, it's just, like, when you actually hit the thing where it starts stalling, obviously you lose all your engine power, your momentum, it kind of changes its own gear back into the auto box, and it just stops you dead for a second or two. At least when you're keeping the power on and you're in high gear and it's wheel spinning, I know you're not necessarily going forward, but when you just drop it into auto or something, it's like the power's already there and it's ready to go. I went down here, released the trailer, he tried to get me. Dropped the hammer though. No chance. I should have just kept in high gear going over there. I kind of fucked that up for myself a bit, really. Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible to roll, but it is pretty decent, to be honest. Again, sending a goddamn horse of a vehicle. Soon problem solved. Funnily enough, I'm in the high now, which, again, this is one of the only other scouts in the game that... the Loaf is probably the hardest truck scout in the game to stall. It's like you can basically set off in the high near enough. I bump start other trucks in the high gear with the Loaf, just winch behind it and it starts pushing them and then they set off in high gear. So, yeah, Loaf's goddamn horse of a vehicle. But yeah, this thing... I mean, look at it again, motors up that hill in the high. I've not even got a quarry, not even got a scout fuel trailer on me this time, so I suppose it's a little bit easier. But yeah, it just makes good progress when it goes to exploring the map. I will say its weakness, which I partly think is due to the fact that it's not very heavy, when you're going through sort of some of the thicker mud, yeah, it's not quite got that. It's funny actually, from using the F750 yesterday, even though that's a Scout, and I wouldn't say that's the heaviest thing really either, but for whatever reason the F750 felt more planted, like it's got more grip. Maybe it's the lower engine speed of the F750 that instead of just wheel spinning immediately, I mean maybe that does count against this a little bit, having the seriously punchy truck engine and gearbox. But I wouldn't sacrifice it. Like, this is a very nicely balanced vehicle. Like I said, one of the better vehicles in the game. It's my second favourite Scout. I'm sure a lot of people would put this as the best Scout in the game. I still think it's the Loaf for all kinds of reasons. I mean, here's just one as it happened to come up, but the front of the truck can get through that gap, but it's got wider arches, that gets stuck. Again, it's not the end of the world, I'm just saying it's one of them. Like I said, I might make a video one day called like 101 reasons why you need to get yourself a Loaf, because I could think of that many reasons. Probably not off the top of my head right now, one after the other, but I'm guaranteeing I could get to 101 reasons, I reckon. Probably more. Now we're on Lake Coved. I don't know, yeah, again, if many people know about that bit, there's like an icy, it's like a frozen river, or was a river, and it's now just like an icy hill. It's not really far away from the garage at all either. And it's quite fun to drive up to be fair, it's one of them where, again, if they just had a little bit more nuance with some of the other tyres on like these icy conditions now, it'd be a little bit better. It's just because on ice, the ones you want to go with is chained, there isn't really any competition. The muds are like ice skates, all of them are really, except for chained. So, like I said, maybe some kind of mud tyres with little ice spikes or something in them would be pretty cool. But yeah, when you want to go exploring on this map and flying around, especially if you just need to do a quick like repair mission, you can also add like the maintenance add-on thing on the back of this, which it makes it look like a mini fire truck. It's pretty cool. I'm not sure if I'd put it on tonight, to be honest, but that's got 400 repair points, which is pretty decent. It's like the TUZ16 has got it beat now with 500 repair points. I suppose the F750 as well, I believe that can have 500 repair points in total. You also, I think you get little to no fuel if you have that maintenance add-on, but it is what it is. Considering they added this like at the beginning, they've obviously tweaked a few options when they've added the F750 and so on, like the fact that it's kind of a Scout truck hybrid. Yeah, I mean, I suppose one reason this will get overshadowed a bit, and for me personally, I still do use trucks to Scout quite a lot, because this is still limited to a Scout, as in Scout trailers. Like, if I go exploring and I find watchtowers and that, I might find a bit of cargo on the way, or I might be able to find a mission, bit of Tokyo Drift there, where I can, you know, run a bit of cargo on my way back to the garage or something. With Scouts, that limits you, unless you take one of those bloody double slot cargo Scout trailers, but they're honestly shit. I wouldn't waste your time. I'd rather winch a truck trailer behind me. But that's usually why I would take a truck over a Scout, and that's again where like the interest with the F750, because that kind of does bridge the gap and it does have truck trailers. That'll be an interesting one. Probably not for scouting this next map coming up, because I won't have the engine when I'm scouting the map. But say then the next DLC they release, when I've already got the F750 fully kitted out, that'll be an interesting one to use when I officially get a new map that I've never seen before and all the rest of it. So as you can see, I can't resist. I was bound to try it at some point. Tried to stick a loaf on the back. I already knew. I've done this before. I've put the loaf on the back of the Kodiak. I put it on all sorts of trucks. I put it on the F750. I knew it wasn't going to fit, and yeah, I just knew that basically the loaf's front wheels were kind of going to sit on the rear wheels of the Loadstar. However, see, this is why it's a goddamn professional. It always finds a way. That is the good thing. That's why you need to get yourself a loaf. But yeah, put it on sideways. It sits over the rear wheels like some giant mud flaps. I mean, we've got loaf handles again, but we'll deal with it. As you can see though, once we're on like this, the Loadstar, or the Loafstar now, goes along pretty nicely. And those wheels, well, my wheels are driving on the loaf because I've got a winch attached to the loaf. But yeah, they're not catching, they're not making me like bump around, they're not slowing my speed down. With some vehicles, I have put, like, if you put the loaf on the back of the Dolphin, but you put it in the wrong place, it catches on the wheels and it can, like, just slow you down a bit effectively, because it's like you're resisting your own wheels. But this, as I'm going, seems just fine. I mean, hi, I'm going along as normal. And yeah, instead of the maintenance add-on, now I've got a loaf add-on, van body add-on. Got 300 repair points, but I've also got a spare winch and a spare vehicle just in case something goes wrong. You send in a loaf. That's what I've learnt. This is where, though, I do think the F750 does have this thing beat a bit, and to be fair, they're pretty similar trucks and chassis. I know they're the opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of... Yeah, this thing has a lot of power in the right gearbox, but it doesn't have a lot of weight to it, it feels like, to apply that power. Or I don't know if it's weight that's the issue, it's just like it's not very grippy, or not as grippy as you'd expect. There is a few situations where, yeah, I don't know, it just hasn't quite got, doesn't dig in, it feels like, as much as some trucks. All things considered, though, that swampy, icy, muddy bit I just went through is a bit of a pain in the arse, and I've been through there in quite a few trucks. That the Dolphin and that motor's along there in high mostly, unless you hit some awkward bit of ice. But yeah, a lot of trucks, it's still fighting its way through. Here as well with the super snow section, where a lot of stuff... one of the only things I've managed to fly over here in was the Voron Grad, with the chained on and everything. But yeah, the Voron Grad nails it across here pretty nicely in high gear. But most stuff doesn't, to be honest. So this I'm still pretty damn comfortable with, especially considering I'm carrying a loaf along with me. Obviously you could just winch the loaf behind you. I like to do it as part of messing around. It was also quite fun driving like this, because it made it wider. Like, trying to get used to like not clipping the nose or the back end of the loaf on lampposts and trees and all sorts. Like, yeah, I have loads of fun with the loaf, that's why you need to get yourself a loaf. You can have fun with anything by adding a loaf to it. And again, I mean, the loaf pretty much, not quite as much as the F750, but it looks... It hangs on like it's near enough bolted down to the Loadstar. I mean, it's not just jumping off every 2 seconds or anything, or tipping to the side. It's also, funnily enough, in this setup, you can't really roll the Loadstar, because I've got the loaf like winched to the back. The loaf can't really fall off left or right, but then if I go to roll, like the nose of the loaf or the back end of the loaf just props it up from rolling. So I bet you I can make it to a lot of places like this. Well, I already have. I've done it before, I've done it tonight, and I'll do it again, god damn it. First thing when we get that next map, obviously we'll get another vehicle. Is it that? I can't remember what it was called now. I got the word Warthog in my head, but I could be wrong. Whatever they're adding though next on the Imadria map or whatever it's called. Yeah, I'll have to make sure it can fit a loaf on, otherwise it won't make the cut. I'm not sure if that's the only thing they're adding or not. To be honest, I've not watched any videos on the new map, just because I kind of want my first impressions to be first impressions. I've seen thumbnails, that's it. Like, yeah, as I'm scrolling through YouTube, I see various different videos with the thumbnails pop up, but I've not watched any videos yet. I've not seen any videos of the new truck they're adding, or if there's more than one truck. So we'll see how it goes. All I know is they're adding all-wheel drive to the twin steer, the engine for the F750, which will be like a proper engine, not this little gutless thing that's with it at the minute. And then, yeah, it's a new map, and we've got some vehicle that I can't remember the name of it, but I can picture it. See, going through here again, only got here, realised like, oh god damn, my loaf handles are getting in the way. But of course, we don't give up that easily, just keep ramming it. Ramming it until the job's done. Get it out of the way and we're off. I didn't even see that tree until about now. And then I did see it. But yeah, all things considered again, I mean, this Lake Cod map is not the most forgiving of maps. There's certainly a lot of vehicles, like some people were saying, and I get it, they were surprised the TUZ-166 didn't make it into my list. And to be honest, it is a pretty fun vehicle. I suppose it sits, for me, like the TUZ-166 is kind of like the Zix of the Scouts, where I really do like the Zix as well, but I don't know, after 10-20 minutes playing around, the Zix for the money is a bargain. I still think it was a great truck, and it's worth getting, definitely for the money. But in terms of, I don't know, there's too much weight over the front of the Zix, so it jumps around a lot. And with the TUZ-166, it's fun to fly down the road, but it pulls itself to the left and the right so easily. If you just touch any different terrain, like you clip the edge of the snow, it just absolutely yanks you sideways, and then I do roll it quite a lot from that happening. So Not to say it's low on my list, it'd probably... I think the Yar would be my top 6 favourite. The TUZ-166 would probably be 7th. Trying to think what else there is really. The CK-1500 would probably be 8th. I actually do quite like the CK-1500. Like, I'm not saying it's the best in the game, it's not the most fun, but when you drive it, especially on that Northport road where I went from the port, the garage to the port, yeah, it's got a really nice speed down there. It just matches it perfectly in the way it handles, and it drifts the back end out a bit, but it doesn't go too crazy. Like, it's quite a nice truck to drive in some situations. Especially considering it's the very first thing you get given in the game, and I know it's definitely worse when it's stock versus upgraded, but yeah, fully upgraded, it's not bad. So I drove in there. To be honest, I was testing around some other things tonight. I've kind of found this bit where I cut over the ice after my little drive I've just been on is like the worst bit possible. If I go just a bit more to the right or the left, or a bit more to the left than I'm about to, it seems better, but this patch, that when you actually look at it, it looks like this is solid white, whereas the bits either side look like they almost go a bit see-through. But yeah, anyway, we'll get to that another time. Sent in the loaf though, luckily got himself off the back of the Loadstar. Ended up being a wedge. You can see all the bits of ice wedged up against it. So managed to get the Loadstar out that way. Now we're going to rescue the little loaf. Not that he needs rescuing, but he rescued the Loadstar, so he deserves a little helping hand. But yeah, since I am doing a review with a Loadstar, or not a review, sorry, just like flying around enjoying my favourite vehicles while I was here, I was curious myself, so yeah, stuck the Loadstar back in the ice, of course, got them professional. Gets it out, mere seconds, and we're done, we're off. While I was messing around, and I do believe this blue ice that I'm on, kind of, because there's extremely little friction resistance, it helps, but nonetheless, I'm actually going up through the gears with the Loadstar. I believe I end up getting to 8th gear, which, funnily enough, this happens, what vehicle is it? I believe the Hummer this happens quite a lot. When I'm in 7th gear, I actually think it was doing better, and then when it jumped up into 8th gear, it kind of not quite got enough power to wind fully up in 8th gear. And again, I'm sure the Hummer does that, or one of them does it, where it's like, you're better off in 5th over 6th, but nonetheless, I was actually getting some pretty decent speed there, towing a loaf behind me. For whatever reason in this game, it's not just the loaf. If you tow anything, even like rapid vehicle, you tow the Royal, that's like, I believe, the fastest vehicle in this game. In fact, I bet the TUZ-16 might be a bit of competition for the Royal. Well, I don't know actually. When you do the Jeff Special, it might be. Yeah, when you tow vehicles, they have like a set limit that they're going to go to, which isn't very fast, and then you can almost see them locking up the tyres like they're trying to slow you down. I wish they'd change that a bit or up it a bit, because yeah, I don't know, I like to fly along. I'd rather go flat out if I had 2 dolphins or something. Obviously that's one reason why I do often take the loaf, is it weighs not enough to where if I'm going along in the Dolphin I can just tow the loaf behind me and it makes no difference. So that's just one of many reasons, one of 101 reasons why you need to get yourself a loaf. Cutting through here though as well in the ice. Once I let go of the loaf, and to be honest at that particular point I did let go of the loaf, I was more stuck on some ice, so I winched myself out of the ice, winched the loaf forward, but then just for the sakes of footage I thought fair enough. I'll let the loaf go for a minute and I'll fly up here. See there though, I caught my right wheels on the, like where the snow officially goes from shallow to deep, and it definitely pulled me truck round a bit and I hit that tree. Turned me a bit quicker than I was expecting. Going along here though, I forgot I didn't have it in high, I kind of stuck it in high now. Did a bit of a mad drift over there. But yeah, it gets around there, no problem. The steering on this is pretty bloody nice. I still think the F750 has probably got the edge. And like I said, if this engine and gearbox could just be put in the F750 now, yeah, I think the F750 would have been number 2 on my list and this would have been number 3. But I mean, that's a pretty damn steep hill. I've been up there in quite a few things. I mean, of course the Loaf makes it up there, the Dolphin makes it up there, but there's a lot of stuff that doesn't. It's a hill on Smithfield Dam. It's no point in really explaining it where. I'll drive to it in a future video and I'll show you. It's a pretty good hill for testing out certain trucks and certain tyres and everything. It's definitely on the limit of what a lot of vehicles like driving up here. when I went up the first time, I was in the high range gearbox, sorry, just the high range gear, so I just thought I'd go again in auto just to show myself really, and while I'm on the video that, yeah, it can make it up that hill in auto, and that it didn't just need the advantage of having a run up in high gear. But that for me is like, that's more than enough. If I can climb hills that steep, then I'm pretty happy with it, especially when it comes to, yeah, exploring and scouting and doing all the rest of it. I mean, I was basically just messing around here. I often do fly over here. In fact, I flew the Tatrin off here about a month, probably 2 months ago now, and stuck it nose first into the floor. And that was the first time I ever got stuck like that, like I did the other day in the Tatrin video. And I've got to say, to its credit, I believe I got a little bit lucky there that I flew off every time and just rolled back to my wheels, but considering it is quite, like, it's wider at the bottom than it is the top, it does actually roll back to its wheels pretty nicely. Also takes them bumps pretty nicely. Remember when I was saying about driving to that well when I worked for that Maniac and I hit a jump and nearly hit a sheep? That's a bit what it was like 10 seconds ago, got a nice little bit there. Yeah, cutting across there, I tend to find you're just better off cutting to the left of that path. But yeah, again, as you can see, just makes good progress, and that's what, I suppose, add it all together. It's got a nice engine with good power. It's got the best choice of gearbox in my mind, the truck gearboxes. It's got good lights. It's got good steering. I still, again, think the F750's got the edge, but it's still extremely nice steering. There's no doubt in that. It's pretty decent on fuel. I wouldn't say it's the best. I wouldn't say it's the worst. But the fact that this pickup chassis, pickup add-on at the back, I've got, I believe, 100 litres of fuel with it, and like 150 repair points or something. I've also got 3 odd spare tyres. So yeah, you can kind of equip it to where you can go out exploring, and if you have a bad hit where, you know, you just see me then, I just smashed into the floor and deleted the suspension and everything, you've got those repair points to give yourself like an extra life before you have to think, oh crap, now I've got to go and bring a truck with a van body or whatever. And just quickly, as silly as it is, I think it looks pretty cool when the suspension's collapsed. For whatever reason, I do like seeing what vehicles look like when they're collapsed. I like damage and stuff in this game. I seen someone post a comment the other day or week or whatever saying, I don't know, about I smashed a vehicle, and they were like, well, you wouldn't break it if you didn't drive like an idiot. I like comments like that. They give me a warm feeling inside. It's like, to me, I would say the game has damage mechanics in it. Like, why would I deny myself enjoying that area of the game? That's like playing Grand Theft Auto 5 and then saying, well, if you didn't shoot people, you wouldn't get police after you, idiot. And it's like, well, yeah, of course I want to get police after me. That's like half the point. I do things for the sake of doing it on Grand Theft Auto. Like, I'm worth like 8 billion, and like say you beat the shit out of a prostitute to get 50 quid back. That I'm never ever going to spend, but it's not the point. It's games. Do random shit. Do shit you wouldn't do in real life. I mean, flew off the cliff. I do enjoy always flying off the cliff. This thing actually does the Jeff Special, which is pretty nice. It's one of the few vehicles where I can't turn all-wheel drive off, but I actually can go flying and doing the Jeff Special. But yeah, it also drove up the hill to the side. No hassles. And it was good, but because it was in shallow snow there, it did do, like, quicker up that hill. This, as you can see, can be a little bit more temperamental. But, to its credit, I mean, I'm in high gear as well, so it's not like I've still got auto and low range as a choice. And yeah, motors up there pretty nicely. Did a little jump, suddenly realised, like, well, thumbnail possibilities. I'll be honest, I kind of reversed back, then I believe I forgot I was in reverse, reversed even more, rolled down the hill about 2 or 3 times, eventually climbed my way back up. But that's the thing when I've been doing these videos, every time I go to start this video, like at the beginning of tonight, I was like, yeah, it'll only be like probably a 15-20 minute video tops, because I know what I want to show and I'll just have a quick mess around in some areas. And then I inevitably, like, the further up the list I go, the harder it is to edit all the footage out, because I just ended up having a good time and I get more footage because I just don't want to quite recover it yet. But anyway, this is what you want to do. Get yourself a Loadstar, get yourself a loaf, of course. And yeah, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.